Get Adventures, everybody. Welcome to episode 30 of Books Cubed. I'm Melissa Bonsack, your host, and I'm sick. Again, good gracious, I've been sick a lot. So there is no intro this week just because I've been sick. And if you can hear my fan going in the background, I'm so sorry. It is so hot in this room and I don't feel great. Hang on, I got a cough. Sorry. And I don't feel great. I think it's allergies more than anything else, but I'm going to get right to the show today. I am speaking with Jennifer Ellision, and I'm going to say that wrong. But anyway, it's a really great show. She has a lot of fun. Her books are excellent. I will see you after I chat with her. So let's get right to it. Welcome, Jennifer. And I'm going to say your last name wrong. And you just told me like 3 times how to say it. Ellision.
Okay. Yes.
Oh, I did it, and I'll never remember. And
That's okay.
right before we started, I think you mentioned it's kind of like illusion.
Yeah, it's a pseudonym. So it's a play. I, thought I was being really cool and twisting around some letters with illusion.
But it's I like it. It's a cool pen name. So I am reading Jennifer's book. Oh, I'm going to read Jennifer's bio. So let me get back to where that page is. So just deal with me or hang with me for just a second. Okay. Jennifer's bio, excuse me, best-selling and award-winning author Jennifer Ellision, I said that wrong, writes about daring young women in magical worlds. She survives on a steady diet of books, podcasts, and her favorite magical tropes. Jennifer frequently wakes up early to go to work before she has to people, and she can often be found squirreled away in her office getting some writing done, or in her local library agonizing over revisions. If all else fails, look under the covers. She's probably hiding out with a good young adult fantasy series. And her book that I am reading right now is titled Over Raging Tides, right? Did I say that right?
Yep, that's it.
That's it. And it's I absolutely love the cover. I'm looking at it right now. I wish I need to be able to figure out how to show my screen during an interview. And I know it can be done. I've seen it done. There'll be links. And sometimes if you're watching on video, oh my God, Jennifer has a copy of her book. There it is, Over Raging Tides. And it's just, the artwork is gorgeous. It's rolls of the ocean, and it's a pirate ship on the ocean on a wave. And can you read just tell us a little bit about what's about, and then read us a very short excerpt so people can get a taste for it.
Sure. So the whole series was inspired one day when I was sick in bed and I was watching Pirates of the Caribbean. And I started thinking about the fact that I felt it was very screwed up that Keira Knightley was the only female character of note in at least the first film. So then that kind of inspired me mulling over this idea. It grew into me thinking about these mermaid-like shape-shifting creatures. I was still writing my first series at the time, so I couldn't jump right into it. But when I got to it, I came up with the main character, Grace, who is the first mate and quartermaster on her pirate ship, the Lady Luck. And again, you could kind of see the tie to where it was inspired by Pirates of the Caribbean. She saves a shipwrecked nobleman, and he has the key to this mythical map and a treasure that she believes could be the key to saving her mother, who was taken by these evil mermaid-like creatures, the Mordgree.
Go ahead, just read a little bit to give everyone a taste for this adventure.
Okay. Survivors. My heart stutters in my chest. Somehow, impossibly, they'd made it out of the doomed wreck. But their safety is not yet assured. In my peripheral vision, I suddenly see a silver shadow behind me streak toward them, and I dive, moving before I'm conscious of doing so. I won't let the Mordgree take another, not today. I cut powerful strokes through the waves, kicking feet weighed down with boots. Leave him! The captain's voice is a hoarse shriek echoing over the waters. The crew on her longboat release startled grunts as she darts to the side of the longboat. Grace, I said leave him. My jaw hardens. I won't. I'm closer to the door and the boys, and that counts for something. Despite the Mordgree's speed, I make it there first. Help me up, I demand. Wordlessly, the older boy complies, dark eyes wide, and I scrabble back on my hindquarters, tugging at my belt just in time. My pistol wavers as I level it at the Mordgree's head. The threat is meaningless. The gunpowder is wet, rendering the gun useless. But I chance that the Mordgree know only that these objects kill, that they'd work just as well to blow away their gods-be-damned heads as mortal ones. I swallow hard, never having been this close to one before. It's wholly unsettling to feel seen and held in a gaze when a creature's eyes are consumed by the pitch black of a night sky. The Mordgree has gray skin, stretched tight over cartilage where a nose should be. Its teeth are rows upon rows of needles as it hisses at me, backing away, webbed claws raised as it sinks into the water. My hands are shaking, but I don't dare lower my weapon until I can no longer see its silver sheen beneath the water. Only then do I holster it. Thank you, comes the voice behind me, and I start. Locked in a silent battle of wills with the Mordgree, who would attack or withdraw first. I had nearly forgotten the boys that had spurred me to action in the first place. Don't thank me yet, I reply grimly. Captain Eileen's crew rose toward us, her eyes murderous. We have plenty of rules on the Lady Luck, but chief among them is this. We don't take men on board. Oh, I can't hear you.
Dun, dun, dun. I had to cough, and I coughed for that. And so I hit the cough switch and then forgot to turn it back on. I'm still recovering from Chicago. So I met Jennifer in Chicago at a writing conference called the Sell More Books Show. I always forget to put the S on the word books. And there were just, was it 115 people?
Something like that, like 115,
like that.
125.
Yeah, and I met
there.
so many excellent writers. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I have so many that I'm going to be featuring in the show, and I'm so excited. And my Kindle is so full of books, and that just makes me so happy. It's such a happy person. But I need to be working on my own stuff, which I am. But it's very exciting to do all this reading and all these great books. And I love adventure. That's and it's for young adults, but I didn't feel like it was anything that was below, that I was too old for. And I'm in my 50s.
Yeah, and honestly, the young adult market, there are a ton of adult readers in I read young adult. The difference is like the themes. So you have people coming of age, you have, nothing gets overly graphic, things of that nature.
Yeah, and we're that when we hit a certain age and we long for the simplicity of being young and that adventure and that starting out. And so I think that's why there's a lot of women in their 40s and 50s and 30s and 20s and teens that want to read these stories and that want to recapture those adventurous days that for some of us are long gone, and some of us they're still they're still here. Because Jennifer and I were in Chicago, running through the streets to get to this conference. And did you stay someplace that was near? We were at was it the Chicago Theater Works, which is downtown, and I thought it was a nice area of Chicago. We found a bed and breakfast it's an Airbnb that was a 13-minute walk from where we were. It was I think Chicago, and I think the city, and I think crime and whatever, and there wasn't that I saw any, and it was just really a nice city from what
it is. When my boyfriend and I started dating a few years ago, he was actually living in Chicago, so I have been there a few times before, and it's a great city. So the conference, I think, is in an area that's known as like Wrigleyville because it's near where the Cubs play. And I was staying, unfortunately, a little further, so I couldn't walk to the conference. That would have taken me, I believe my Google Maps said it would have taken me 45 minutes to an hour to walk there.
That's a little far.
A 20-minute Uber, not too bad.
Yeah, I think we were like 1.6 miles. And I had planned on bringing my running clothes, but I had been sick right before coming. And so I said to my husband, I'm just not going to, excuse me. I said, I'm not going to bring my running clothes. And I had gone to Macy's has a discount called Backstage. Macy's Backstage. So if you go up the escalator and to the far back corner of the store, they have all this stuff that's you can get really cheap. And I found this little carry-on that will fit underneath your seat on the plane. And I said to my husband, I'm fitting everything in this bag. And I went for 5 days.
Oh, wow.
I stayed with my friend Lori Drake, who's been on the show a couple times. We stayed an extra day to go to a Cubs game on Monday, and they lost. Anyway, and we ended up, it was so cold. It was so warm during the conference, and we were walking everywhere, and it was beautiful. And I didn't have a jacket on. And for the Cubs game, I bought a scarf, and then I sat down in the seat, and it was so freaking cold. Then I went back and got a blanket, and then laid it across. Lori had like a coat, so she was sitting on her coat. But I had to adjust the blanket, so I was sitting on the blanket, yet it could cover our legs. So it was like twisted weird. And then every time we needed to jump up to see anything, because we were really close, we had really good seats. But everybody would jump, excuse me, hang on. Okay, everybody would jump up in front of us, and we couldn't jump up because we'd have to adjust the blanket. So we're like, whatever. But I digressed completely away from books. So Jennifer's book was really fun, really exciting. And as I was looking at all the different authors that I wanted to talk to, and I'd been looking at all their books, and I've got a spreadsheet of what everybody writes about, and I was writing down their books and looking them up, and I saw yours and went, oh, one of the first ones, because it's adventure, and I love adventure. Now you have got 2 series that I could tell. You've got the pirate. What is the pirate series called?
The Lady Pirate series.
Oh, perfect. And then you have got the Elemental Fantasy series. Now,
yes, Threats of Sky and Sea.
Okay, so they're both. I mean, the pirate series has elements of fantasy. Because of the creatures that are underneath the water, the mermaid-like creatures, and I forget what they're more. What are they called again? Okay, so do you have the same audience reading the elemental fantasy ones that you do the pirate ones? Do they cross over? Or were you worried about writing under the same pen name?
No, I wasn't, because it is fantasy. It's more adventure oriented, but it has a magical map. It has these mermaid creatures. There's some other stuff that I won't go into too much because it happens 1 in later books and 2 spoilers.
No spoilers.
But I do think there is audience crossover, but I also think that some of the audience didn't cross over, because Threats of Sky and Sea is very more traditional fantasy. You have the king, the lost princess, these powers she didn't know she had. It's also spoiler, but I think I put that in the blurb, so secret's out on that one. So some people are looking more for that aspect, the royalty aspect, we'll say.
With the covers, really, you get that queen or princess, or that you get that from looking at the covers. And when you look at the covers between that and then the pirate covers, it's very different.
Right. So it has a different
but fantasy, like you said. So
they're both going to get some.
Yeah, that are going to follow through. So then you're okay then putting links to both series in the books to try to get people.
Yeah, I do link them. And I also just launched the first book in what will be a duology when I get around to the next book, of a Cinderella fantasy retelling. So it's Cinderella if Cinderella was an assassin sent to kill Prince Charming, and it's called Striking Midnight. And so they're all.
I love that. What's it called again?
Striking Midnight.
Oh, is it out yet?
It is. That is out yet. It's not in KU yet because it's in a multi-author set, and that set is in KU. So
Okay.
had to toe the line carefully of what Amazon's terms and conditions say I can do. So it's only in the one place for now, in
Oh,
Cube.
yeah. But
So
that,
it's
I
still
love
only on Amazon.
that. So
Thank you.
she's an assassin sent to kill Prince Charming.
Yes, by her
Oh,
stepmother.
that's fantastic. Are you going to do other fairy tales with twists?
That is the plan. I have other series planned as well, so I think that will kind of be almost a refresher between series for me to tell a fairy tale and then be able to do a series, maybe a couple duologies. I haven't fully
Yeah.
fleshed it out yet. I think the next one might be Robin Hood, but I haven't played around with it too much yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now I was looking at all your books, and I mean, you're really well received. People
Thank
really
you.
like your books. There's good reviews. Um, do you, I know that for writers, the thing is never read the reviews. I didn't know on Goodreads that I had reviews. I've got a lot more reviews on Goodreads, and I'm
Yes.
like, really? And then I went to Goodreads and I went, oh my God, it's the wrong book cover. And as I was trying to put the right book cover on, I accidentally read some of the reviews, and they're all very nice. But I did have one person who said, oh, what did she say? Oh, that's just so improbable. And I thought, yeah. Why would you think if what and if you don't know what I write about a character that all these idiotic, improbable things happen to her,
Mm-hmm.
and in real life, absolutely nothing of this would happen to her. But this lady was complaining that in real life, these things wouldn't happen. Well, of course they wouldn't. It's a
Mm-hmm.
character in a book. So I laughed about that. I think she gave me a 2-star review, and I laughed. I said, I copied it to my editor and said, "Can you believe this? This is so funny. Why would
Mm-hmm.
she?" Anyway, but do you make the mistake of looking at your reviews? And from what I've seen, they're pretty nice. And if you see the nice ones, I mean, what is that? Good or bad? I mean, how does that affect you? Does it?
So when my first book came out, yes, I read pretty much all my reviews. I would go on Twitter and I would never interact with the reader if they didn't tag me, because that wasn't a wormhole I wanted to jump into. That was their space. But I would search my book title on Twitter, or I would go on Goodreads and look at the reviews on Goodreads. I stopped doing that because the ones that were mediocre, or I have a couple 2 stars, they would get in my head like nothing else. So they drown out the sea of, oh, I really enjoyed this reminded me of my favorite author, like I want to read more of this series. And I'd get meh, and I'd be like, what did I do wrong? How could I have made them have a more positive experience? And it would slow down the progress on the next books in the series. So now I generally try to, I have a beta reader, I have an editor, so I try to focus in on those voices. I have an ARC team, I listen to them. But I try not to look at the reviews, because also the book is out already. So
Yeah, it's probably wise. And if you get and it just like it's bad to read all the bad reviews and it's depressing, and then you think, why the hell am I writing this book? Nobody cares, nobody loves me. If you read too many reviews that think you're fabulous, then you start, I
yeah.
think, overthinking. Like I've got this friend who told me, the first line of my book is an amazing first line of a book. I just love how you do first lines of books. I still don't have a first line for book 2. Because
Yeah.
of him saying that to me, I've got a first line.
Now you're overthinking
I'm
your
on
first
chapter
line.
9. Yay! So, but I think I'm going to tell my editor that we need to, and I'm sure she'll tell me, actually, I won't need to tell her. She's a very good developmental editor, and she will say, you need to start here instead of where you did start. But, him saying that and me thinking about it and going, wow, now it's in my head, and it's all I think about is that first line. Oh my God. And it is important. A first line is so important in setting the tone for the book.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, it's why did you tell me that, Todd, if you're listening? Anyway, If anybody's listening, this is Todd from, I think, episode 3, where we talked about poetry. He's a poet, and I hate poetry. So I was very nice. I mean, I didn't come out and say I hate poetry, but I might have on the show. But it was early. It might have been episode 2, but I was early in the show still, and I wasn't. Now I'd go, I hate poetry. Make me not hate poetry. And he'd laugh and go, I don't care if you hate poetry. So it wouldn't be a show at all. So you've got, how many books out?
Oh gosh. So I have the complete Threats of Sky and Sea trilogy that also has a book of short stories. So let's call that 4. And I have 2 books out in the Lady Pirates series, so 6. Striking Midnight, so 7. And then I have a contemporary romance that I don't talk about too much because I think that really screwed up my also bots for a long time. So technically I have 8.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah. I feel bad for every time I buy a book, I screw up people's also bots because I buy every single genre out there. I read every single genre out there. And as I talked about last week, I've had romance books recommended to me, and okay, I'll read them, and then gone, wow, these are really good. And then had these people on the show, and I still was saying, oh, I don't read romance. And then I'm on the plane to Chicago, and I'm looking at my Kindle, and I'm like,
and you're like, I read romance.
50% of my books are romance. Oh my God. So, and yeah, it was last week I was talking about why is that a bad thing?
It's not.
You know, it's not. It's not. Oh my God, I wish I could write romance. Those people, you know, they
Yeah, if you can write romance and do it well, then
they print their own money. Holy cow, you know. But yeah, so it was. So I'm sure I screw up, and I apologize sometimes to people and say, like Jay, I said to him, I'm so sorry. I'm going to buy your book, and I'm going to totally screw up. I think I said, really fuck up your also bots completely. Because you know, I read post-apoc, I read romance, I read fantasy, I read thrillers, I read women's fiction, I read everything. I read everything, and it's I'm usually reading 4 or 5 books at once because this morning is not the same as this afternoon, and my mood has changed, and I want something different.
You're a mood reader.
Exactly. And if I'm going to bed, I do not want to read anything that's going to keep me awake. So I'm going to read stuff that's a nice relationship book, you know, and they're at a good point where, oh, maybe a romance, but not at the point where, you know, he's just left and she's standing there in the rain kind of thing. Oh my God, I got to keep reading to see what happens. No, so it's tons of stuff out there. So, but anyway, long-winded. I was trying to get back around again. So you've got 7 books. When is the next one coming out?
So I have a novella that will be in a multi-author set the multi-author set is called Rogue Skies, and I think it comes out in September. The last book in the Lady Pirate series is the next one I'm launching on my own. And I don't have an actual release date for it, but I have finished the first draft at long last. So
nice.
As soon as I can get it revised and get it to my editor and she can get it back to me.
And will that end the series for that series?
That will end.
Okay, so when you're done with it and it's out or ready to come out, come back on the show and we'll talk about that, and then people can buy the whole series.
That would be great.
Yeah, and then so I tape the shows between Sunday and Wednesday, and they come out on Thursdays. So like if it's going to come out on a Friday, we'll just time it so it's the show so it's already out.
Yeah.
The day that the show airs, you know.
Yeah.
Because the last time I'm like, it was because somebody was on. I was like, oh, the show it'll be out next week, and I said, I'm so sorry. I just shouldn't have aired the show till next week.
I was originally hoping that because I had done a decent chunk of the draft before 2018 ended for book 3 of the Lady Pirates series. So I had been thinking it would be out much earlier, and I hit a wall with this draft. And I unfortunately am a pantser. I'm trying to become a reformed pantser and turn into a plotter so that this doesn't happen to me in the future. However, I thought it would come out much earlier. So my plan was then to launch the Lady Pirates box set in September on Talk Like a Pirate Day. which I might still do because I just think it's fun.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, you could also excuse me. I was talking to somebody recently who launched something at Christmas, and everybody always says, "Don't launch at Christmas," blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And she made a killing launching at Christmas because nobody was launching at Christmas.
Right.
So you could always launch the box set because day after Christmas, everybody's loading, or day of Christmas, they're loading their Kindles, the new Kindles that they've gotten.
Right, right.
And there's always a new round of people getting Kindles. And I love my Paperwhite.
Yep, that's what I have too. I had one of the like first or second generation Kindles, and it just pooped out on me recently. So for Christmas last year, that was my gift from my parents.
Yeah. Oh, it's oh, nice. But I love it. And I think Jay and Zach were talking about it being on sale. And I turned off the podcast. It was like 6 months ago now, because I just made the last payment today, and you could make payments.
Oh,
So
that is nice.
$17 a month. And it was on sale, it was like $85. And it was like normally, I don't know, 130 or something like that. Yeah, so I was very excited. And I still haven't gone outside to read outside. You're supposed to be able to read outside in the sun. And I keep forgetting to open it and look while I'm outside.
And in the dark, which is nice because my first generation Kindle did not have that backlit feature, which is nice. And it's not harsh on your eyes like the blue light of the phone.
Yeah, it's great. And I can read in bed. Well, my husband, he's always got the TV on. So, but I can read in bed, and I don't bother him if the TV goes off.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it too.
Yeah. So which is good. So I tell you, you're pretty prolific compared to me. How long have you been writing?
I just celebrated my 5-year pub-iversary on Monday.
Nice. So you're a little more than a book a year. A little less than a book a year.
Yeah, so
a little more. I'm sorry, a little more.
So the first series I did a book a year, and then kind of KU became the thing to do, and rapid release became the thing to do. So I feel like I'm playing catch up at this point. So I'm trying to become better, faster, stronger,
What do you want to move toward? How many books a year do you want to be putting out?
I would love to be able to do every 3 to 4 months reliably. I'm not there yet. So right now it's just write the book, set a release date at that point. If I become a more steady, reliable writer, then whole new ball game.
Yeah, exactly. Do you ever think about working on like a series of 3 and then holding them till they're all done and then rapidly releasing?
So I'm considering
release like every 3 months, and as you're releasing, be writing a new series, and that way you're always ahead,
Yeah, so I haven't decided for sure whether or not I'm going to go this way, but that is something I'm considering for the series that I'm going to work on after the Lady Pirate series and after my Cinderella duology. After those 2 are wrapped up, I have a series that I've done all 4 covers for already.
Nice.
That's going to be called The Lost Kingdom, but I haven't written a word of it yet. So I'm considering doing that method with that, but we'll see how it goes, how the writing is going and all that stuff.
Yeah. Do you have a day job?
Yes. Yeah, I'm just an administrative assistant right now.
Does it, you're writing, are you writing before and after work kind of thing?
Yeah. So pretty much I'll either, if I'm not overly tired in the morning, then I try to get up pretty early, say around like 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and get some words banged out before I have to go into work. And then when I get home, in like the afternoon or evening, I will work on it, then go to the gym, and then I don't do anything in the like actual, like we're talking around 7 o'clock right now. I'm done for the day. I can't, my brain doesn't work on that level anymore.
Yeah, you need to feed your brain with some just some nothing. But writing before you go to work.
Chicago Fire, Chicago PD.
Oh,
Chicago Med. That's all on tonight. That's my big evening plan today.
Yeah. But writing before work, does that get you kick-started for your day? Are you excited when you get to work, or are you exhausted by the time you get there?
So the first few times I did it, I did feel tired because I just wasn't used to the routine of getting up at that hour. It was a few hours early, 2 to 3 hours earlier than I would otherwise have woken up. But other than that, I feel kind of energized. Like, I feel just really good that I accomplished something already that day. It's 9 a.m. and I'm like, I wrote 3,000 words this morning.
Some of my listeners are writers also, and the amount of writing that you can get done in a really short amount of time is amazing. And you can write a whole book. I mean, if you took 10 minutes a day, you can write a whole book very quickly. Quicker even, or 10 minutes here and there. When I used to years ago drive a beer cart on a golf course, and I would sit on my phone and write and work on a book. 10 minutes here, 2 minutes there, a quick minute here. When I wasn't making Bloody Marys, and I wrote 50,000 words. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that book will ever see the light of day.
But you did it.
Yeah, it's like I am going to. It's very different from what I currently write. So I think I'm gonna have to come up with a pen name. It's fantasy, and I think if I go back and fiddle with that, I can have a good book. But I've got to start. I've got to start at the point.
Very nice.
And it's but yeah, I need to get my husband wants me to spend more time writing. It's like, why aren't you working more? Why aren't you working more? Yes, I know I need to work. I need to finish this book because I've got, somebody emailed me the other day. Oh, somebody gave me your book and I absolutely love it. It's wonderful. When's the next one coming out?
Yeah.
Is it ready? I'm like, oh, I'm losing sales because.
It's a good feeling, but.
Yeah, because the
books
aren't out there. Yeah, and it's. I need to get myself out there. For a while I was introducing this show as I think what I say, I'm Melissa Bonsack, the author of the June Nash Misadventure series. When I'm not writing, I'm reading. And then I thought, I have one book and one short story out. I'm going to take that off for a little while until I have 3 books. And then I'll put that back on, because it just doesn't feel like I that should be there. Since I thought by the time that that the 10th show was out, that I would have another book out and off to my editor, and it's just yeah, and I'm an outliner. I started in screenwriting, and I was just very anal about outlining, and then I tried pantsing this book, and this is why it's taking me 2 years.
I will say that when so the second book in the Lady Pirate series is Through Fathoms Dark and Deep, and up until that point, that was the fastest I ever wrote a book. And I think it's because before I wrote it, I sat down and said, what are the questions I opened in Over Raging Tides that need to be furthered along in this? How can I do that? So it wasn't to the level of a plotter that I would like to be, but it was more than I'd really ever done before. And it was the fastest I ever managed to write a book.
See, and that's so smart. And I teach an outlining course, and I would say to people, you got to know how to get into a scene, through a scene, and out of a scene, or you can't write the play or the whatever you're writing. You got to know you got to know those basic things.
Yeah.
And if you have an outline, you can, for screenplays anyway, if you know exactly what you're writing, you can jump into the screenplay at any point to write. For a screenplay anyway, because it's all dialogue.
Right.
Now for a book, it's different. And you can jump into the book at any point to work on it, but you do need a basic outline, because as you write, things will change, which is fine.
Yeah.
And that's good. But then when things do change, you need to go back to your outline and adjust your outline so you don't miss plot points and you don't leave any hanging questions, in the air. So tell me one more time, when is the next book coming out? Or it is out?
No, so the last book in the Lady Pirate series is not out yet, but it will be by the end of the year. That's the best I can say for a release date right now. First draft is done.
Yeah, I like to say 2019. It'll be done
Yeah.
2019.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. So that will give you 8 books.
Yes. 8
Okay.
YA fantasy, I think. I
So,
also, yeah, I have all these little like novella short story things that are just ebook exclusives. I have those as well, but
so
we'll
when
go
will
with
you look at what you've
books.
written and consider yourself a literary success?
When I'm making a living at it.
Yes, and for some people, it's not money. It's
Yes.
uh, readers.
Mm.
It's people reading their book. In
Mm.
Chicago, I was sitting at a table chatting with a lady, and we were talking about disabilities because I don't know, I couldn't hear her, and I talked about how it was really loud, and I said, well, I wear cochlear implants because I'm deaf. So we got
Mm.
to talking about disabilities, and I said to her, yes, I said, my friend Terry writes this series, and I said, there's a deaf, and I'm going to do it right. There's a blind girl. She's got a dog, and she's got superpowers, and she has a blind, no, yeah, she's, hang on. She's blind. She has the dog. She has superpowers. She has a deaf best friend. I can't remember if he has superpowers or not. And I said, and they solve crimes. And I said the first word of the title, it's fuzzy. And she went, Visions. I've read it. And my friend, when I told my friend, she's like, oh my God. It's almost like finding your book, seeing somebody out in the wild reading your
Right,
book.
reading your book. Yeah.
I mean, that's so for some people, for me, that would be success for me, which I'm sure is never going to happen because
Mm.
my books are ebooks and they're that they're not going to be in print. I don't sell very many print. I sell, I don't know, 5 print books a month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just don't, and they're not in bookstores, but
Right, right.
that would be really cool. I'd love to see someone actually reading one out
Mm-hmm.
in public somewhere for me. But yeah,
Yeah.
making a living and being able to quit your day job.
Yeah, that's the ultimate dream. I mean, there are like little, there are, I don't want to call them little. There are other parts of the author dream that I had someone make fan art for my book for the first time last year.
Wow.
And I have that, it's not on my desk, it's on my bookcase across my office, but that I printed it out and I had it framed. Like, this is the coolest thing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's the getting emails from
Yeah,
readers,
yeah, yeah.
and it's yeah, I mean, I'm not worried money wise. I mean, a goal, my mother was asking me this, and I said, I would love to make enough money to make my car payment.
Mm-hmm.
And that I suppose, I get enough books, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or get a cheaper car, which ultimately would be important. But anyway, so it's probably getting close to a pretty long show here. So we'll wrap it up. And when the next pirate one is out, we'll have you back on so we can um, talk about the whole series.
Okay.
Not give any spoilers, but we can talk about how it went over the course of the series, and then maybe
Mhm.
people will be interested, and then they can get the whole series.
Yeah, that would be
You
great.
know?
Would
Yeah.
love to.
So, and readers often will not read a book until there are at least 3 in
They
the
like
series.
to binge read. I mean, I get it. I like to binge watch on Netflix, so I can understand it.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think there was a show I almost started watching, but there was only one season from several
Mm.
years ago, and I'm like, I'm not going to bother.
This show is canceled, yes.
It was
Unless it's
canceled, so it's
every
probably not
now
that
and then
good.
I find like something and I'll be like, let me Google. Maybe this was just a mini series.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they probably ruined it. They probably ruined it. But thanks for coming on. Thank you so much. Um, and I will have you back on soon. Oh, and where can people find you?
People can find me primarily on my website, so jenniferellision.com, JenniferEllision.com. Spell that one out. I'm on Facebook, Jennifer Ellision author, and Instagram and Twitter as @Jen Ellision.
Okay, well, I'll put all those in the show links. I was just going to say, you just spelled them out, so I shouldn't have any problem doing it. But if I need help, I'll drop you a line. And I recommend her book. Go check it out. They will be in the show notes. You will not be disappointed. And thank you so much. And
Thank
hang
you
on
for
just a
having
second.
me.
Thanks, Jennifer. You will find everything in the show notes, links to her books, links to her. And if you'd like to comment, go ahead. And if you're on YouTube, you know how to do it. Drop down. Well, I think you do. I had someone tell me they didn't know how to comment on YouTube. And now that I'm sitting here, I'm not sure I know what to tell you. I think you just drop down, and I think there's a place to comment. So you just have to take a look at it. If you are on a podcast, try to remember when you get back to your computer or your mobile phone, and let us know. Let us, and by us I mean me, let me know what you think of the show. Click on those stars. Give me some star love. You will also find the show on Instagram under books_cubed. But I think you can just type in books cubed and you'll find it there too. So I will see you next week. And in the meantime, go read a good book.